difficult job ahead? Consider equipping a pack of Sam's special solvent Stano Remover. It's ruthless on residual blood splatter.
You know, I could have sworn I tested you for hearing loss. Because I did say skip the Hope to Terra 2. Terra 2, not Tartarus. We could have saved this colony, you know. That was always the plan. I revive you, you do as I say. I tell you to go there, get me this, shoot that, and you do as I say. If you'd just listened to me, we could have rescued everyone on the Hope. We could have been the saviors of Halcyon. But you didn't listen. No one in this damn colony ever listens. What? Oh, is this thing not working? Can you hear me now? Oh, wait a minute. You were mocking me. Unbelievable. Oh, have you come to humiliate me? Do you want me to admit yours is the superior intellect? If you think I'm going to admit defeat and throw myself at the mercy of the board, oh, you're wrong. I've still got some fight left in me. I can still bloody your nose. Don't you tell me what to do with my blood pressure. My heart rate is within a perfectly acceptable margin of failure. Don't worry about me. Worry about what I'm willing to do. Oh, I've got nothing to lose. I've got nothing to live for. But I'll tell you what I do have. Oh, I've got a gun. And I've got Adjutant Akande as my hostage. Not bad for an old man, eh? Well, yes. The Adjutant is your employer, after all. I was expecting something of a reaction. Say what you will, but I can't risk letting you interfere. The only thing worse than Halcyon collapsing is this psychotic monster living to see it happen. If you insist on interfering, I will be forced to kill you. And I don't want that. I don't, you backbiting, double-crossing ingrate. I loathe everything you've done, but I was the one who revived you. I hate destroying my own projects. I can't imagine we've got anything left to say. Yes, I expect we are. I've programmed the Labyrinth's mechanical warden to kill you on sight. I'm sorry to have to do this, but I can't take any chances with you. You were my greatest success, and my greatest disappointment.
Process.
Sir, alert! Sir, alert! Security mode activated.
I'll take your confession now!
organics in rest mode.
Attainment level.
Sterling is this unit's middle name. Analysis of effort. Wrong tools for the job.
Never anger a man of the cloth.
Substance is resistant to stinging others. Object is soon to be speckless.
I've had quite enough of you.
Wash mode on. That will re-cleaning cycle complete.
You traitor!
Thank the law you're here. That madman was out of control. You were right to put him down. He was too far gone to be of any use to us. And what about you? You aren't hurt, I hope. You're a model soldier and a credit to your profession. I appreciate everything you've done. You've put down the worst riot in our history, rid the colony of a dangerous madman, and saved my life. The Board owes you a tremendous debt. We don't have a moment to lose. We're gonna have to work together to save Halcyon, because the situation is far worse than you imagined. What I'm about to tell you must never leave this room, under any circumstances. We've lost all contact with Earth. It's been 3 years since we've received a message. We've had no contact, no signals, nothing. Earth has gone dark. 2 years ago, the Earth Directorate's frigate disappeared en route to Earth. We don't know if they ever made it. We don't know if there's an Earth to go back to.
Earth is only an idea to us. But that idea is the bedrock the colony is built upon. If people were to find out it's gone dark, the shock could be too much to bear.
That's precisely why no one else must know the truth. We're going to have to keep this secret to ourselves. We're alone, Captain. That's all I know for certain. Whatever happens to this colony, we're going to have to deal with it on our own. Returning to Earth is not an option. Yes, we do have a long road ahead of us. But I have faith in you. The service you've done for this colony is nothing short of extraordinary. You're the reason I'm still standing here today. The Board will survive because of you. And as the Board goes, so goes Halcyon. It's time we carried out the program. I trust I can count on your support, Captain. I support your decision wholeheartedly. You've proven yourself the most capable leader in the colony. Now more than ever before, Halcyon needs strong leadership and a steady guiding hand. I look forward to serving as your adjutant. We're on our own now. Earth isn't coming to save us, so we're going to have to save ourselves.
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The riots in Tartarus ended in a total victory for the Board. Without any significant threats to challenge their power, the Board asserted their control over the colony. The Lifetime Employment Program began immediately, and the people of Halcyon did exactly what they were expected to do. They obeyed. Sophia Akande converted the labyrinth from a prison to a processing center. She jettisoned the original colonists out of the Hope and transformed the ship into a massive storage facility. One by one, the workers of Halcyon surrendered themselves to the program. They arrived with their families and their friends, their colleagues and their neighbors, and then, one by one, they marched into their stasis chambers. As the workers of Halcyon slept in their hibernation chambers, their settlements became ghost towns, left behind by the Board to be reclaimed by nature. Only Byzantium remained, a shining beacon of civilization in an otherwise abandoned colony. The people of Byzantium spent the rest of their days gorging themselves on their stockpile of resources. As for the workers of Halcyon, they never felt the effects of the collapse. They never felt anything at all. The Board's focus on Byzantium closed the door on much of Sanjar's civil liberties movement. As the last few townships withered away, MSI had little room to grow. Ever the savvy businessman, however, Sanjar pivoted and established Stellar Bay as the colony's supplier of luxury seafood. Catering to the elite, MSI was allowed to continue operations as a member of the Halcyon Board, and became more successful than Sanjar could ever have dreamed. Without Lilia Hagen, Sublight Salvage fell apart. The company fractured, devolving into a series of unregulated criminal gangs, fences, and smugglers. Their facade of legitimacy quickly faded. In time, the Sublight family was forgotten. Over the years, the ruins of Edgewater caused irreversible environmental damage to the landscape of Emerald Vale, owing largely to the presence of toxic compounds in the town's building materials. As for Edgewater's former workers, their remains provided a source of nourishment for the region's fauna, leading to an explosion in the sprat population. While the Groundbreaker remained mechanically stable, the changing times forced Junlei Tennyson to make some difficult calls on behalf of her community. The work of maintaining independence was an uphill climb, and she found herself caving to bad faith compromises with the Board. Time will tell if the Groundbreaker can endure. As smaller settlements were swallowed up and their workers drafted into the lifetime employment program, Byzantium continued to thrive. While its citizens lived in decadence and extravagance, a small cadre of scientists worked to solve the nutrition crisis that threatened Halcyon. No one else much noticed the townships that disappeared from the map, or the luxuries that slowly lost their luster year by year. Even the Gorgon asteroid, though a distant enigma to most of Halcyon, felt the aftershocks of your actions. Gorgon's restored facilities presented a tantalizing boon to the lifetime employment program. The promise of a more productive, more compliant workforce. It was too good for Akande to pass up, especially when Tartarus and the many underperforming townships across Terra 2 offered fodder for additional research. Minnie Ambrose found herself leading the project under Akande's watchful eye. Her organizational acumen kept the project afloat, but just barely. With the specter of failure ever present, she came to appreciate the struggles the late Dr. Ambrose had faced. In spite of everything, the Gorgon asteroid remained a sobering reminder of the potential for progress and disaster in humanity's most ambitious efforts. The truth about Rizzo Spectrum Brown was buried in the abandoned ruins of their old distillery. The company designed a new drink using the rancid harvests from the old purpleberry orchards and a dangerous amount of brown food coloring. This second launch of Spectrum Brown was sold in Byzantium at an exorbitant price. It was incredibly popular. The death of her sister left Ruth Bellamy disillusioned. She eventually lost interest in Byzantine culture and spent more and more time alone with her memories of Belinda. She only emerged out of isolation to speak out against the lifetime employment program. Her opinions earned the contempt of the elite. She was last seen departing from Byzantium in a private craft. No one has heard from her since. The lifetime employment program led to a boom in the Aetherwave industry as more and more Byzantines demanded entertainment. With the absence of Ruth Bellamy, the question on everyone's mind was, who could be the next Halcyon Helen? Burbage 3001's performance during the investigation on Eridanos made it the ideal contender for Helen's replacement. Some years later, after Odeon Pictures released the brand new Burbage 3002 model, it was found mysteriously destroyed by a plasma weapon. Cedric Kincannon did not take kindly to losing the vast majority of his subordinates to hibernation. Despite the board seriously entertaining the idea of offering Sublight a seat, Cedric was nowhere to be found. Any theories that he left Halcyon entirely to begin a new life on some undiscovered asteroid with his former secretary Eileen are, of course, just theories. With the board's newly renewed grip on its seat of power, the public's increased interest in the Aetherwave industry, and the death of his primary acting rival, Spencer Woolrich expected to return to the limelight as he so rightfully deserved. Much to his chagrin, however, his roles remained few, and quickly grew fewer. As his fall from stardom solidified, Woolrich found himself reassigned to menial labor and placed in suspended animation to support the lifetime employment program. It seemed that as much as he had resented her, Halcyon Helen had been all that separated Spencer from complete irrelevancy. Tossball in Halcyon changed dramatically after the Lifetime Improvement Program. With roughly half of the league's players in hibernation, existing teams were forced to merge. The upheaval caused a great deal of infighting between longtime rivals, who found themselves on the same side of the tossball hump. This, in turn, led to a pronounced increase of knives during play, and a period in tossball's history known as the blood loss across the toss. Bertie Holcomb groused in private about the general fictation of tossball spectators. Once, enraged by the sight of a Byzantine seated in the front row with a fancy drink, Bertie leapt over the dividing wall to the stands, seized the offending beverage, and stabbed the man in the hand with its tiny umbrella garnish. New laws against this infraction were created after the game. Bertie Holcomb would live forever in the annals of tossball history as the first player to have received a penalty for audience participation. With the situation in Eridanos taken care of, and with Byzantium's sphere of influence rapidly expanding, attention on the Prophet of Profitability's productivity seminars multiplied 100-fold. High-rungers all over Halcyon flocked to Eridanos and its newly opened Productivity Expansion Reserve. The Prophet herself remained at the forefront of her discipline until a violent encounter with a rival spy. Actually, no more than a curious fan saw her fade into the background for the remainder of her days. Your influence further cemented Ellie's perspective. She understood she could never truly rely on others, so she set about making sure she wouldn't have to. With a steady income from the life insurance payouts, she was finally able to afford a ship of her own. She enjoyed a long and infamous career running missions across the system. Some of them were even legal. As the board reasserted control over Halcyon, Felix came to realize that his life as an upstart rebel had come to an end. The board's victory crushed any hope for a grand revolution across Halcyon, and so Felix, once again, found himself without a purpose in life. And so, disillusioned with his former boss and with nowhere left to go, Felix left his crew without saying goodbye. He was never heard from again. As a reward for his part in her courageous rescue, the adjutant invited the vicar known as Max to become one of the leaders of the Order of Scientific Inquiry. But Max had no interest in serving any organization, let alone the OSI, which he knew would never tolerate his heretical theories. Instead, he attempted to minister to the people of Byzantium. They rejected his ideas, being far too satisfied with their own material comforts. Disillusioned, Max gave up and left the city. He was never heard from again. Once the matter with the Hope colonists was resolved, Junlei bashfully asked Parvati if she'd like to join her permanently on the Groundbreaker, and Parvati enthusiastically, if somewhat awkwardly, agreed. As the board began to roll out their lifetime employment program, Parvati was increasingly plagued by dreams of freezing to death, and rarely left their shared quarters. Stymied by dwindling resources, Junlei struggled to keep the Groundbreaker afloat. Their relationship couldn't survive the strain. Parvati moved into crew quarters and found work servicing water pumps in hydroponics. Nyoka returned to Monarch to take another crack at making a permanent life for herself. She formed the Charon Group, an MSI subsidiary of ragtag survivalists and wilderness experts. Anyone in need of a guide, or just looking to throw back a beer and swap stories, could find her camping on the trail or clearing an infestation. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. Adjutant Sophia Akande was instrumental in executing the Lifetime Employment Program. Following the death of Chairman Rockwell, Sophia Akande served as the loyal adjutant to her former freelancer, now the most powerful person in Halcyon. With Halcyon's workers suspended in a state of hibernation, starvation and chaos are problems of the past. The Lifetime Employment Program succeeded in its goals, but that success came at a price. The Halcyon of today is nothing at all like the colony of yesteryear. Power remains concentrated in Byzantium, but all the colony's resources serve the lifestyle of the elite, thereby transforming Halcyon into one of the smallest and most exclusive colonies in the system. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? You brought an end to the chaos on Tartarus and proved yourself the most capable leader left in the colony. With Sophia Akande as your adjutant, you returned in triumph to Byzantium. All of Halcyon was yours. In time, you demonstrated a talent for leadership that far surpassed your predecessor, Chairman Rockwell. With your steady hand, you guided Halcyon through the turbulent years to follow and helped ensure the colony's survival. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.